how did Max first get into boxing?
Just by going along to the Lake Victoria rowing shed, boat shed, and the night that the boxing was on was the night he turned up. So it was so random that he turned up the night they were teaching boxing.
What's his biggest achievement?
Well, I'll say what he was most proud of whenever he spoke at a sportsman's night, and that was marching onto the MCG for the Melbourne Olympics in December or November 1956, and at 20 years of age representing this country.
If you're alive today, how do you think you'd feel to be nominated in the Sports Hall of Fame?
Oh, he'd be very proud, and his kids will be proud too. He was very modest, so he didn't really seek awards, but the recognition would be appreciated.
Yeah, tell us how you first got into swimming.
I initially got into swimming because of physiotherapy, and I was kind of good at it, so I kept doing it.
And out of you've been a basketballer, you've been a swimmer. Tell us what would be your biggest achievement to date?
I actually have two. The first would be going to the Paralympics in 2000, and the other one is breaking a world record.
And you've been nominated in the inaugural Greater Shepparton City Council Sports Hall of Fame. Which is a surprise, and how does it feel?
I'm very honoured. I was amazed when they actually mentioned it to me, because oftentimes disabled athletes kind of get overlooked for this sort of thing, so it's very exciting.
Andrew and Dave, tell me how you first got into speedway.
Well, I started off when I was about 19 years of age. I'd lost my licence for motocross riding and everything else. We won't get into that why that happened, but the only motorcycle sport I could get into that wasn't covered by the ACU at the time was speedway. So I started up and I rode solos for a year, but realised I sort of spent more time off the bike than on the bike. So I sort of gave them away and started sidecar racing with my cousin Tom. So we started that about the age of 19 years of age. Yeah, and then Dave, you can take over how you got into it.
Oh well, I started off as mechanicing for Andrew and Tommy when they first started doing it, just to travel around and enjoy it. And yeah, after a couple of years, Tommy decided he didn't want to do it anymore. So Andrew asked if I wanted to do it, and I was a bit iffy at the start, but
threw in the deep end.
But yeah, after thinking a bit, I thought, yeah, no worries, I'll have a go at it. So yeah, I just took over from Tommy. So.
Excellent. Out of all your achievement, what do you two think is your biggest speedway achievement to date?
I'd have to say it was most probably when Dave first started riding, wouldn't you,
yeah,
Dave? Yeah. Was it your first ride or second ride? We went into the Vic Titles and...
Yeah, second ride, yeah. Second meeting we done. So it would have been probably my fifth race.
So yeah, we won the Vic Titles, and the following meeting I think we done was the Australian Titles. Yep. And then after that we went on to win the Australian Best Pairs, so that gave us the Grand Slam of Speedway. So I think it had only been achieved 2 or 3 times before that over the years, so that was a good start for us, and we thought, oh look out, we've got it, it's got to keep going. But it took us another decade before we won another Australian title after that. But the first one, yeah, that mostly sticks in the mind the most out of them all, yeah.
Excellent. And how do you feel to be nominated in the Sports Hall of Fame?
Oh, just unbelievable. Yeah, it's fantastic. Especially being in the Golden Valley. It's a Golden Valley Award, so a lot of people in the Golden Valley helped us out to get through where we got to. So, it's a great honour.
Yeah, it is an honour. I was wrapped when Don Kilgar gave me the call and said about it. I was wrapped. Yeah, I reckon it's good. And it's good for Shepparton too that such a thing's going to happen here.
So, Steve, how did you first get into your sport?
Oh, look, I was influenced by my family, and my father was a great supporter of cycling, and my brothers were all into the sport at the time, and I just followed suit.
And you went to the Olympics. What are some of your biggest achievements to date?
Oh, yeah, look, certainly going to the Olympics was a fantastic highlight. There's a lot of road races and that Australian titles and that were great memories, and I was lucky enough to win the World Masters Road title in 2015.
And what does it feel like to be one of the first inductees into the Greater Shepparton Hall of Fame?
Look, it's fantastic to be recognised by the the council and the community, and there's a lot of great sports people around the Golden Valley, so to be recognised in that manner is I'm really stoked.
How did Jack first get into the sport?
Well, basically he saw an article, a photo of blokes road racing, and just said, that's it, that's what I want to do, which is incredible for a sportsman, because what he did after that is just unbelievable, his dedication,
What is his biggest achievement to date?
Well, winning the 750 FIM World Championship, on his own prepared bike, and Suzuki sacked him the year before, and he beat Sheen by 1 point on a Suzuki. So that was a bit, and they stacked the field to try and stop him winning, and he still won it by 1 point. But the Isle of Man in the early days was the thing to win. It was like the grand final. You could win world titles, but if you didn't win the Isle of Man, you were nobody. And he achieved that as well.
If he were alive today, how do you think he would feel to be nominated in the Sports Hall of Fame?
Over the moon. Yeah, he's a very... he never speak about himself, very modest man, He sort of let... in France, he was a hero in France, and he was called the White Tiger. And he did it all out on the track, yeah.
So how did Jack first get into the sport of motorcycling?
It was a family endeavour. His mother rode an Indian, which nobody would even know what an Indian was these days, but they lived in Euroa, and his father's family come from Euroa, and moved to Shepparton and started the business. John's father started the business in 1925, so it's been here for 92 years. So there was always a motorbike in the family and around. And that was how John's mother said she got a car, because when he was born, he has an older brother, Bill. When he was born, she couldn't fit 2 children in the sidecar, so they had to get a car. That was her excuse anyway.
Out of all his achievements, what do you think his biggest achievement to date would be?
Definitely his family. He loved his family and his children and his grandchildren, and his home was... It was a palace to him. It didn't matter whether it was a tent, because he loved to camp, with a tent on the riverbank. As long as everybody was there together, that to him was the best thing.
And how do you think he would feel to be nominated in the Greater Shepparton City Council Sports Hall of Fame?
Very humble. Absolutely, very humble. Surprised, but very humble, yeah.
Well, my husband was a teacher and we moved to Redcliffs. And the first winter I played tennis, and then I met a friend there and she wanted me to play bowls. And I'd never seen bowls, but she took me, and the old coach took me in hand, and I really loved the game. From there on, I think I finished up in the winning a state event. 5 years.
And what's your biggest achievement in bowls?
Gee, I don't know. Oh. Well, I played for the state for about 22 or 3 years or something. And there's lots and lots of happy times amongst all that. Played against South Africa as country 4, and it was practice for them, but we beat them. That was an achievement.
And how does it feel to be nominated for the Sports Hall of Fame?
Oh, that's unbelievable. Yes, it's a big honour. Something I never expected. But anyway, I'm happy with the whole thing.
So Margot, how did you first get into softball umpiring?
I started umpiring here in Shepparton when the association didn't have umpires for finals, so they said, well, you can score, so I guess you can umpire. So I did. And the patron of the association said, you did a really good job, but here's a rule book, you might like to learn the rules. So I did.
What is your biggest achievement to date in softball umpiring?
I think officiating at 2 Olympic Games. Sydney in 2000 was an absolute thrill, and Beijing in 2008 was an experience.
And tell me how it feels to be nominated in the City of Greater Shepparton Sports Hall of Fame.
It's humbling. I'm very honoured, and I think to be recognised by the city is just amazing, and I'm very grateful.
How did you first get into your sport?
Well, believe it or not, I took up shooting seriously when I was watching the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics, and an Australian woman who was a friend of the family won a medal. And I thought, gee, if I was going to go to the Olympics, I reckon I could take up shooting. I tried target shooting as a kid, as a teenager, and it wasn't too bad, but uni and work got in the way. And then when I was 25, I decided I'd love to go to the Olympics, and I think shooting's the sport for me.
And what do you think your biggest achievement to date is?
Wow. Well, representing at 2 Olympics is very special. Just being there and being part of the team was fantastic. Unsuccessful in the medal tally, but I personally didn't see that as a failure. 6 Commonwealth Games so far, 14 medals. Not so bad. I'm pretty happy with that. My best Commonwealth Games performance was 2002 in Manchester, where I competed and in 3 events and won 6 medals. in the pairs and the individuals over the course of the game. So 6 medals in one Commonwealth Games appearance, I was fairly happy with that.
And how does it feel to be nominated in the Sporting Hall of Fame?
Oh, that's a great honour. I'm very proud of my association with Shepparton. Lived here for 20 years and competed in 2 Olympics and 5 out of my 6 Commonwealth Games while I was a resident here, and my kids grew up here and went to school, so it's a big part of my life, and to be honoured in that way is a very special thing.
Tell us how you first got into playing badly.
I was actually 5. My 2 sisters played, and I was a little small country town down in Gippsland, and just fell in love with it. I could actually walk under the net, and so I just had this love for it, and that didn't stop for a long time, and still hasn't stopped. So it's my 2 sisters sort of got me into it, and it really stemmed from there.
What was your best achievement to date?
Best achievement? Look, I'd certainly like to say the gold medal in the 1986 Commonwealth Games. That was certainly a major highlight. Great experience all round. But also, I think on a differing level, but same level, we won our first badminton bronze medal in 1982 at the Commonwealth Games in Brisbane. So certainly won't say it's equal. They're different, but being team orientated, that was very, very special to win that first medal.
And you've just recently been inducted into the Greater Shepparton City Council Sports Hall of Fame. Was it a surprise? And how do you feel about that?
Major surprise. Look, very, very, very humbled by it. You go through life with these achievements, but then when something like that comes up, it's very, very special. It's indeed an honour, and to be in there with an enormous amount of fellow sports people that have achieved greatness, I'm going to say. So no, look, it's indeed an honour and something that I look forward to.
Tell us, again briefly, how you first got into the sport.
Through my cousin Darryl Thorson. He took it up, and I just followed him doing it, had a go at it, and liked it, and that's how I got into it.
What about your biggest achievement to date?
Oh, I'd say the Bendigo Madison, because that was a very hard bike race. I ended up losing about 2.5 stone in that one bike race, which was 60 mile, about 100k. So it was very hard.
And how do you feel to be nominated in the Greater Shepparton Sports Hall of Fame?
Oh, I'm rapt just to be nominated with all these other champions, world champions and, Australian champions, everything. Like the things that they've done, I've done nothing compared to them. So I'm absolutely rapt.
Tell us how you first got into rifle shooting.
It was in 1975. My father-in-law invited me out to have a shot. I went out there and I loved it.
Yep. And you've been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Were you surprised? How did you feel, and what does it mean to you?
Yeah, it's an honour. I didn't expect it. The class of people that are in it, I sort of don't really put myself at that level. So it's a real honour.
And tell us about your probably proudest achievement to date in the sport.
It'd be the Commonwealth Games medal and winning the last Queen's Prize meeting at Williamstown.
Tell us about the winning the Queen's in Williamstown. Tell us how that rolled out, and what position were you in, and
On the last day, I think I was about fourth going into the last range, 900 yards, and I won 900 yards, which put me above everyone else, and I got there.
And how did you feel after winning that? I mean, you'd been in the Queens for a fairly long time before you won it.
Yes, there was 650 competitors there that year, and it was a really great feeling.